The number one reason it's hard to stay on a new healthy way of eating like the Mediterranean diet is that it can be hard to maintain, especially if you don't always have fresh ingredients in the fridge. But if you want to set yourself up for success with one trip to the grocery store, then this video is for you. I'm going to share a list of ingredients I call my last-minute pantry. Groceries that cost around $50 to stock up on so you can stay on a healthy track and get nutrient-packed, good-for-you meals on the table in less than 30 minutes. The last-minute pantry is one that has your back when it's already time to eat and you want to stay on track with your diet, but the refrigerator is pretty empty, you're too tired to cook, you're hangry, and you want to eat in the next 15 to 30 minutes, and you don't want to spend a bunch of money ordering in or eating out. But I can hear you say, yeah, but how many things will I be able to make from a handful of ingredients? Well, be sure to stick around until the end, because there are some fun solutions for that too, and I'll talk more about them after we get through this list. What's most important is that with this list, you'll still be able to fill a plate and cover the three important parts of any healthy meal on the Mediterranean diet. 1/4 of it with protein, 1/4 of the plate with grain, and half of it with fruits and veggies. And I'm going to assume you already have a few basic essentials: some sort of salt, kosher or sea salt or soy sauce, at least 2 types of fat, cooking oil and finishing oil, something acidic like vinegar or lemon juice, and a few basic spices like garlic powder, paprika, chili powder, cumin, oregano, and rosemary, unless you're a spice fanatic like me. This isn't meant to be the fully stocked pantry that covers all your day-to-day healthy eating needs. That's a different video packed with fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and a pantry full of options. Just think of this as your last-minute lifeline of healthy meal essentials. The first aid kit you keep in your kitchen pantry for emergency meals. So let's see how many healthy ingredients we can stock up on for that $50, beginning with the perishable stuff. These first ingredients aren't truly perishable because they end up in your freezer. But for a just in case, make sure you've got some mixed frozen berries in the freezer. They come in handy in all sorts of ways. And it's always nice to have a bag of mixed frozen veggies ready too. I have to admit, I use these very rarely because we have access to so many fresh options when it comes to fruits and veggies. But in a pinch, you bet I'll reach for these. Then there are the pretty long-lasting perishables, like Greek-style yogurt. We use it for breakfast, we use it in sauces, I make dips with it, and low-fat or non-fat milk. In Europe, it's most common to buy shelf-stable, ultra-high processed milk that has a really long shelf life. And another dairy product that I consider an essential is Parmesan cheese. It's the perfect flavor punch finish to a soup or a salad or a stew or pasta. And of course, a really quick protein source, the incredible edible eggs. And 4 perishables, but they'll last a really long time, are fresh lemons, garlic, potatoes, and onions. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know these ingredients show up probably more than anything else, so they're an essential part of our first aid kit. Finally, the perishables that really are perishable include fresh baby spinach that can disappear right into a dish while adding a healthy boost to any recipe. And herbs. I always buy a little bit for the ones we don't grow, like cilantro, so that I have it at the ready to add to sauces or soups or sandwiches, or making my everything green sauce. The next part of the list is pretty flexible. You'll be buying some backup ingredients that won't get used every week, so that $50 budget can be spread over a fair amount of time. And it's really important to remember that if there is any way not to buy some of these as last-minute choices, like chickpeas, beans, and lentils, the cost advantages of buying bulk and dried over ready to go from a can are huge. But this list is all about making sure you're armed with some last-minute options. So the added expense of buying canned goods is a short-term trade-off, but well worth it, because it helps you stay on track. So let's see what's a part of the non-perishable emergency kit in your pantry. Of course, for me, I like to start with a couple of jars or cans of chickpeas, and naturally, some canned beans and lentils. All these are wonderful options for vegetarian protein solutions. And it's pretty important to add a couple of cans of either chopped or whole tomatoes to the mix. Now, naturally, fresh is much tastier, but remember, this is emergency food. So when you've got to go for it, grab a can and make a meal. And some canned tuna. It's great for a sandwich, it's great for a salad, you can even add it to a pasta. Let's set these protein sources to the side for a minute and talk about how we're going to fill that quarter of the plate with grains. Grains that can be made really fast in an emergency when you're hungry, beginning with whole grain rice and pasta. I can't be without a bag of pasta in the house for an emergency. Like rice, pasta's fast, it's filling, it's tasty, and there's all kinds of ways of using it. And one of my new favorites is buckwheat soba noodles. They're not terribly expensive. They cook in about 3 minutes. I love to have them with a stir fry, and they're so healthy, full of really good nutrients. And to help bring these things all together, make sure you have a box of stock in your pantry. I always have vegetarian stock, but I also sometimes have chicken stock as well as fish. So if you really need some stock and you don't have your own in the freezer, grab a box of this and you're good to go. Whole wheat tortilla wraps when you want to fix something fast from leftovers in the fridge. And oats. It doesn't take very much to make them up in the morning, and when you add some frozen fresh fruit, you've got a wonderful way to start the day. Now let's look at where these ingredients belong on the Mediterranean plate and how they cover the 3 important parts of any healthy meal on the Mediterranean diet. The 1/4 portion of protein comes from eggs, yogurt, tuna, beans, chickpeas, lentils, milk, and cheese. Filling 1/4 of the plate with a grain, potatoes, rice, pasta, oatmeal, and those tortilla wraps. And half of the plate with fruits and veggies from spinach, diced tomatoes, lemons, garlic, onions, the frozen mixed vegetables, and the frozen mixed fruits. So imagine a 15-minute nutrient-packed pasta dish from a quick sauté of tomatoes, chickpeas, and spinach or veggies. An egg omelet or a scramble with mixed veggies, spinach, and a dusting of Parmesan cheese. A whole grain rice and bean burrito boosted with fresh spinach and a green goddess dressing. A hot breakfast of oatmeal blended with defrosted mixed fruits and topped with honey. A healthy white bean and pasta soup topped with Parmesan cheese and a drizzle of olive oil and a spinach salad on the side. Brainstorming buddies. Sometimes cooking apps take more time to fuss with than it does to actually make a recipe. But when you're stumped for ideas for that last-minute meal, it can be a fun way to explore the possibilities and spark an idea or two. I put our grocery list into one of them the other day, and it came up with 1,882 different recipe options, including sauces, dips, sides, and main course ideas. I've only played around with these apps, and I can't say I'd pay for a long-term commitment, but you might try 1 or 2 to see if they'd be helpful to you. Here are a few of the apps I think are worth exploring. Supercook, Cooklist, Frigo Magic, Cookbook, and Nourish, a brand new one from one of my favorite cooking channels, Pickup Lines. If you've already built up your core Mediterranean pantry, then you'll have lots more options for ways to grab and go from your pantry to your table. But if not, it's a great time to watch this playlist.